Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. It is Satisfaction Saturday. So satisfied that God has kept us all week long, and we're now coming to the end of the week. God, we thank you for being so awesome and so great in all of our lives. A weekend that many of us will have a long weekend. How Monday is the King holiday. I hope if you're going to take a holiday, if you're going to be off, make it a day on, a day that you can be on purpose, doing something great for the kingdom of God and doing great to help somebody else who might be in need. Today, I invite you to look with me at 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter, verses 21 through 25. A very powerful passage. It's a passage where we begin to hear about a woman by the name of Hannah. Remember, Hannah was that woman who prayed that God would bless her with children. And she finally conceived. And God gave her 5 children. He gave her 3 sons and 2 daughters. Meanwhile, God had given to her this one person who would make a difference in her life and the life of everybody. And that was her son, Samuel. Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. Samuel grew up to know God as his one who would lead, guide, and provide. And now Eli was very old. And now since he is old, he finds himself in a situation where he realizes that God needs for someone else to lead and to guide his people. And in the process of time, we find out that his sons, they become men who did things that were very different. Well, you know, this prophet Eli has some sons, and his sons were sons and daughters. Even though he had a heart for God, he went the wrong way. But Samuel grew up in the presence of the Lord. Samuel was different than his peers. Samuel was different from everyone else who was around him. Samuel decided he was going to live for the Lord. Eli was a man who was after God's own heart. He was a father who tried to do the right thing. But somehow or another, his sons decided to live a different kind of life. This becomes a passage to remind all of us as parents, you can do your ample best to try to train your children up, to bring them in the right way, but sometimes they will stray. I'm happy that Samuel stayed on the course. Eli had 2 other sons. These sons were very different. These sons decided they didn't want to follow the ways of God. And so much so, they even did evil while they were in the tabernacle of the Lord, while they were in the place of worship. We have to ask ourselves the question, how many of us have been like that? That we should be in God's house doing the good things, but sometimes we do things that God doesn't get a whole lot of glory from. How many times have we not done our very best for the Lord? How many times have we not helped someone who had a need in their life? How many times have we, right there at the entrance, seeing people coming in, seeing someone who had a need, and we didn't help meet that need? But instead, we looked out for ourselves. This is the text that begins to remind us God can bless us with children. God can bless us that we can feel like we are the best thing that God had ever given to the world. But then we find ourselves looking at who we are and realizing that if we don't keep our eyes on Jesus, we can be distracted. It's important for us never to be distracted. It's important for us to keep our eyes focused on God. You know, sometimes we forget that it's a sin when we are doing all of this work around the church, but not doing the work of the church. The work of the church is sharing the good news of gospel of Jesus Christ with everyone that we meet. The work of the church is making sure that the widows and the orphans are not neglected. The work of the church is doing all the things that God has asked us to do to show that we are the redeemed of the Lord and that we're different. But we must never find ourselves looking at people and taking advantage of situations because it looks like we can benefit from them. We must always remind ourselves that God is watching us. And since God is watching us, let's make sure he catches us doing the right thing. May the Lord bless you. May heaven smile upon you. I want to remind you that tomorrow is Sunday. So please take a special moment to join us in our 7 o'clock a.m. virtual time of worship, or join us in person at 9 o'clock a.m. You can do both, and I'm certain you'll be blessed at both occasions. May the Lord bless you. May heaven smile upon you. And happy King weekend to you and to your family. And we'll talk to you later.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. download today. Select Giving from the main menu and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.